Hi, everybody. This is Ben Colby, Teen Librarian at Enoch Pratt, coming to you from the Teen Center. This video today is a design video to create a Rowhome style container. This one I printed in metallic purple. You can see it's got a nice rounded shape on the other side, and I painted a little bit onto it, some vine designs. When you 3D print something, you can always mark it up with acrylic paint, nail polish, paint markers, or even Sharpie marker. So it really gives you a lot of options in the design. So without further ado, here is the Tinkercad video. So the first thing I need for my Rowhome design is a box, and I'm going to take it down to a thickness of just a few millimeters, 3 or 4. And then I want it to be about 4 inches wide, or about 100 millimeters, by about 125 millimeters tall, or about 5 inches. Great. So the next thing I want to add is the bricks. And if I go to all shape generators, I've got a couple options here. I know this one is nice, the one that's on the left that's called brick wall. So I'm going to tip it down 90 degrees, set it on the ground. And the only thing I'm going to change in the settings here is this little line called depth noise. And what that does is it changes the difference between the bricks in terms of the depth. So if I drag that up a little bit, you can see some of the bricks are going up and some are going down. And that gives me more of a chance to bring out that pattern in the final design. It'll just show up better. So let's see. I think I may also need more rows. Yes, I think I do, because I'm going to hold shift. Actually, I don't need to hold shift. I'm just going to size it up to about the same as the other one. Okay, so maybe not quite that many rows. But that looks great. So about 30 rows with about 6 columns. Looks great. Okay, so the only thing is I just want to stretch it up slightly. In fact, let me hit D to raise it all onto the surface. And so if I were to just overlap it like this, I mostly like that. I just want it to be a little taller, so it all shows up on the surface. That is much better. Great. So I'm just going to kind of stretch it to the edges. Okay, so I'm just going to group those. The next thing I want to make is a window shape. So let's start with a box, and I'm just going to stretch it kind of into a rectangular window, and just change the color so I can see it better. All right, so I'm going to try to get the size right by looking at it here. I can tell that that's kind of too small for a window, so I'm just going to stretch it a little more. Is that the right size for a window? I think so. Good. So let's duplicate this and make a whole version of it. And let's see, I'm just going to shrink the size and lift it up past the original shape a little bit. And I want this to kind of be centered on the top here with just a little rim around everything. That's good. Okay, so now I can even stretch that down a little bit. So let's duplicate it again and then put another one down here and try to have a gap in the middle for the cross part. Well, that's quite nice. And then one very common feature with the Rowhomes is there's this crown shape over the top. And I think I want to build that with the green roof shape today. Probably different ways to do it. So let's see. I want the point to be facing down. I want to kind of squish this, bring it back to the surface. And then let's see, if I hit duplicate and then rotate, let's go by 67.5, that's too much. Let's rotate a little less. So I can just kind of put these things together right here. Close enough. Okay, that's nice. And let's do another one on the other side so I can actually just mirror this one. And I'll move these out of the way in a second. Actually, let's do that now. So I'm selecting all three together. Okay. Now I can center that a little better. Oops. I think I can. Actually, I'm going to take the snap grid down to half so I can center this maybe a little better. Oh, geez. Centering can be hard sometimes. But I'm actually pretty satisfied with that. And then I'm going to put just kind of a bar across the bottom. So let's see, it needs to be kind of narrow. And it kind of holds all these shapes together. So I think that's really nice for the crown shape that's going to go on top of every window. I have 4 shapes, grouping them. Nice. So let's just line it up with the other one. And that's looking pretty good. I just need to make sure it's overlapping. And I can just make it the same depth. So that is pretty nice. And maybe I can just center it slightly better. Okay. Good. So let's see. I want to not group these because I want the holes to cut out of here as well as here. So I have all 4 selected. I'm going to hit the Control D to duplicate, put one window in place, Control D again. Oh, it ended up over there, but that's fine. And I'm just going to put 4 of these down. And just drag a box over all these. Okay, so that is looking very nice. I want this part, you want these to be kind of lined up with each other. That's pretty good. And then the only thing is the one that's going to be the door needs to be bigger than the others and shaped a little differently. So this one, okay, let me just hold shift and get all of these again. And then I'm just going to kind of stretch it to be a little wider and a little longer going down to the ground. And that's quite good. You could put some little steps in there if you want, but that kind of looks like a door. One thing that you should probably also add to this is a little line across the roof, which is another common feature with the row homes. This can be actually very ornate, this awning at the top, and you could put a lot of detail into it. For now, I'm just going to put a flat bar straight across, just kind of a narrow bar. Okay, so let's group it. 18 shapes, and that's quite nice. Little off center, no big deal. So I'm going to make this 2 sides of my container. So first thing, stand it up 90 degrees, hit D to move it up to the surface, Control D and to duplicate it and get a 90 degree version and just kind of line them up. make sure they're overlapping. That's very nice. Okay, so my original thought was to use a cylinder and cut it away, but actually I changed my mind. It's much easier to use a round roof shape for what I was thinking. So I'm going to take this and stand it up and rotate it, I think 45 degrees. And then let's make it large. Just to the point where it kind of stretches all the way across from corner to corner. Forms a nice back of the container. And as long as the sides are lined up, that's pretty good. I'll just go a little bit bigger. Okay, and then once, wait, what about the height? Oh, it's a little too tall now. Okay. And so I want to cut this out a little bit. So let's do another Control D, duplicate, and then shrink it just slightly, holding the Shift key. Change it to a hole, lift it off the ground, and actually, well, no, I'm just going to eyeball it instead of trying to align it. And so that looks pretty even to me, the way it's cutting out. And it's leaving some at the bottom. I want to leave a little less at the bottom, which means I need to stretch the height. Okay. There we go. That's a nice little half pipe shape. Very good. So that can attach. And now we just need to cover that shape on the ground, that missing spot. No big deal. And I like how the edges are touching. Yeah, that looks great. Okay, so I think just a simple box will do the trick. And let's see, we want it to be just a few millimeters tall. 4 is fine. And I'm just stretching it to what I think might work. Nope, not even close. Ooh, is this going to work? Maybe I need to do 2 things. That's okay. I'll do it in 2 pieces. Fine. And it's not, I can see from the bottom that everything's overlapping very nice. Okay, so let's duplicate that and pull the other one over. And then just change the size until it's covering everything it needs to cover. How am I doing here? If I look at this, oop, there's still a gap. That's great. So I can see from the bottom that that I do have a floor complete. All right, so this is done. So I'm just gonna group it, see what it looks like. And the bottom isn't perfectly even, but that is fine. It is a nice, nice container with a Rowhome design on 2 of the sides. So I'm going to go ahead and export this as an STL.